You are now rocking with the 3-yard play.
Right.
We just figured out a 3-yard play, fam. We're gonna win every time.
Yeah.
Hit that link with you. Come on in.
You're tuned into the 3-Yard Play podcast. Well, the only question is, does it work for you?
Trail got wings, bitch.
We been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up all year. Cause we finna be the champs this year. We been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up all year. Cause we finna be the champs this year. We living way just to hold up the trophy. Flag on the plate, cause them haters can't hold me. And 1, 2 a days and run up the biggest hill just to sharpen up my skills. They hit the scoreboard first, I had to hit them drills. Time I get around the corner, they gon' see my new wheels. After practice, till the lights come on, till they bust ride out and they gone. That rally had us help, my teammate down the steps. Player, we got plays you ain't even seen yet. I post up and fade away like graffiti. Just don't claim it's love when you see us on TV. We been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up all year. Cause we finna be the champs this year.
3-Yard Play podcast.
We been working
brought to you by reality.
all year.
Where it is what it is.
Game time.
You get what you get.
We all here.
So comment and let us know where you
all
live.
year. Cause we finna be the champs this year.
For whatever reason, man, I just got this idea for the next show, for a new topic, man. I think we should do one on an album that changed your life, an album that meant something to you. Just either you grew to it, you matured to it, it opened your eyes, you rode to it for years, but an album that, what's an album for you that's something that, made it really had a significant impact?
Right. I like that. I want to go ahead and tell y'all mine. So Young Jacket, man, that Dr. Dre, The Chronic.
Okay.
That album to me changed everything in the hood and mainstream America. Meaning, remember when coming up and leading up into that, everything was about drinking 40s. And people in gin, and just getting, it was just wilding, man. You know what I mean? And then that Chronic album hit, folks were staying home, getting blunted, you know what I mean? But it changed demeanors, man. So that, in terms of how a lot of folks interact, they brought a lot of community. Them 40s brought a lot of fights, bro. So I got some stories around that one, but good Lord.
I think mine has to be All Eyes on Me. All Eyes on Me was my album because it just kind of depicted kind of like as far as trying to keep my identity, because I felt like at the time, Pac represented a lot of that intellectual brother who also was from the streets, but was trying to keep his self, you know what I'm saying? So he had some resistance, in him, you know what I mean? And I think at that time for me, as I was adapting and trying to, learn the lay of the land, learn the language, because that was different too. It was one of those things where I had a little bit of resistance in me, you know what I'm saying? So they gave me some of that strength, I felt like, to still remain.
Almost.
Yeah. So All Eyes on Me was mine. I use that for everything.
Outkast, Southern Playalistic.
Oh yeah,
Southern Playalistic.
Yeah.
I know it changed my perspective. I see the hoodie right there. That just changed my perspective. Even just the town, it just made us so cool. just overall in that one album. Where being from Atlanta, you already knew Atlanta was cool, but you knew folks kind of looked at Atlanta away. Right. They just showed it in the nah, man, I'm finna talk about literally these streets right here. You know, right down these blocks that you know about, little simple stuff.
You know.
Yeah, and as you ride, you can just see, you can just feel it. It's a different thing when you kind of hear something that's made and you in the area where they made it, you know, like hearing Biggie in Brooklyn, like, oh wow, this is crazy. You know, you get to see what he's talking about, standing on Fordham. He's standing here in Flatbush doing X, Y, and Z. But that Outkast Southern Playalistic, and then the way they worked in the singing and the harmonies with the rap, live instrumentation, and soul, and just that overall fullness of like the skits, everything. Where I was like, man, these folks talk like us, they sound like us, like it's really it was down the street. I made just a fire ass album, so I think that was something that really just it made me realize, like, wow, man, this community we come from is like magical in itself. You know, just depending on your perspective on the hood. You know. What's something that's honorable mention? Y'all got any honorable mentions where you're like, man, I would have said this. This was a close one.
Well, the extension of the Dungeon family, when you speak on Outkast, for me was Goody Mob. You know, Goody Mob had a deep message. I thought they were one of the more unique groups because they not only had a message, but they also had, because you know we at that time, you know, you had the Nas's and stuff like that, but the music wasn't as hard to me as far as like the beats. You know, it was very rare to see intellectual.
Organized noise production was crazy.
Crazy, man. They had, I mean, they catch you with the beat, but then they gonna hit you with the knowledge as well, and in their own unique way. You know, that was like the South's Wu-Tang. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know,
and they were speaking slang that I could understand, like some of that slang. I could understand some of the Wu slang, but the Goody Mob slang, I knew everything what they were saying.
Knew everything, right.
Okay, I know what these brothers saying. Other folks don't know what they're saying. I know just what you're talking
about. Yeah, you know.
Dude, I got a bunch of honorable mentions, but I don't have to go in and come with that Ballin' G, man, coming out.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, I look back and say, boy, that led to a lot of my issues with that mindset. But that's that Ballin' G though, for just because I just think about albums I still listen to this day. You know what I mean? And so they touched me up in some ways. But the only thing I will say though, just real quick, I will say this though. It was a time, man, we were hitting these streets, man. I didn't think I would make it to the Outkast Southern Playalistic Day. You know what I mean? That hit like when I was in college. But shoot, I had to get there. You know what I mean? Because Atlanta streets were crazy. That's why I said that Chronic kind of chilled some of the folks around me at least out.
Oh yeah.
And then, boy, ain't nothing like that pride that Cass brought. Ain't nothing like it. And G-Mo-B, ain't nothing like it.
Right.
Man, so, and then, you know, you got that Nas, Illmatic was hitting me up hard real quick because it kind of did some new things and just Wu-Tang forever. You know what I mean? Just
but you were one of the first people I remember playing Nas down here.
Yeah,
I remember you playing Nas like a bitch. I was like, damn, what is this? I just that just took my ear like it don't sound like us, but it just sounds hood though. Like it's so tight, you know. Right. I say honorable mention had to be the Roots. Do you want more? I don't know how much you got to the Roots at all, but the Do You Want More album was like kind of just a glimpse into the underground. It was the first time where I was like, it went all the way underground because they were still on Geffen and they was on a label, but something about it just seemed so underground and so almost acoustic but digital at the same time. Rhymes were so different. Stuff they was doing, I was like, dang, like, okay, these dudes, they had a lot of energy, but then it was good study music. Like I used to listen to that so much when I would study. It was something I could sit down and do work to, but then at the same time stay engaged and just be like, you know, enjoying hip hop. You know, I couldn't all the way get to the jazz at the time, but to me it was like kind of the closest I was getting to jazz, you know, early.
And that's funny you say that because my dad, you know, my dad is a jazz musician. So growing up, I grew up kind of like what Nas would, because I think his dad was jazz also. That's where he got that sound from, some of that sound from. So, but yeah, I think one of my most impactful concerts ever was a Fugees and Good Mob. That show was crazy. So I've been at a Jay-Z concert and people walk around. Hey, when that Fugees and Goody Mob concert was going, bro, we was locked. We ain't moved. Everybody was stuck in that mud, like, and that's when I realized the greatness of CeeLo. That was the first time I actually like, oh, this dude is something else.
He got special light.
Right, that was something different.
Right,
But to you all's point, though, I will say this though, that era made me appreciate music in general because of all the samples and stuff. And of course, back then, I hate all them stuff. But when as I grew in it, I should say, I learned to kind of go, hey, let me go check out that album though. You know what I mean? If I like this sound, let me go check out this artist. The Roy Ayers and all those folks. Then made me appreciate Diggable Planets and to your point, LJ, having live musicians on that stage and just learning to appreciate music as a whole. So I do, like I said, at the time I complained some, but as I grew, it really helped me really connect with music in general. And so I greatly appreciate all them folks because they definitely pushed the envelope.
And you think about all the power, like the power in music, right? How much the culture in through our music has given us power, in society. You know what I'm saying? So it was just, people getting invited. Like I remember, you think about the most oddest things. I remember Eazy-E got invited to the Republican
White House.
White House, you know what I'm saying, or something like that, because he had donated. He had simply donated to a particular cause or whatever. So it's crazy to think like now how far people shun on it a little bit, because of some of the direction it's taken. But at the same time, we also have to be appreciative of it giving us a way to express, you know what I'm saying, and get us in arenas, because and it really ain't nothing changed. If you think about it, if you go all the way back to like Little Richard and James Brown, it's been the same really for us. That's been our mode of communication and elevation, a lot.
And healing for that.
And healing, right.
But I know we don't want too much time to go before I forget to mention them No Limit Soldiers though. They came up a little bit.
You talking about that turn up phase?
Yeah, there was a whole lot of errors. A lot of brothers put it down.
It was pivotal, boy. A lot of that stuff was pivotal to my identity. It influenced a lot of the things I did and how I interacted with and the people I interacted with. Like I said, it also opened up a lot of doors. We talked about in the previous podcast about adapting to a culture. A lot of times that music, it was kind of like that introduction to each other. We kind of rallied around common that love for that same song or that music, and it just kind of brought more cultural conversations, even when people got out of pocket. You know what I mean? Trying to assimilate and appropriate and all that stuff. It led to some real deep conversations that changed some relationships too. So like I said, man, that music, boy, it was golden, boy. That music is golden.
Loved it. Yes, man. Hey, man, I appreciate that. That Trip, you brought back some memories on that, man.
I just wanted to see, man. I was thinking about it as we wrapped up because it was kind of cool having a nostalgic conversation, because I remember some of the friends that I adapted to when I went to private school, some people that would share similar musical tastes.
Right.
Folks that kind of set the stage for being cool. Like, okay, well, we got this in common. Even though we might look at it totally different, at least you got ears to hear it. You appreciate something about it, So, all in all, man, I think it's good that we got a chance to just, have this conversation, man. I would encourage anybody else who, man, chime in and let us know, what album you And also for the young folks, you know, we want to hear some of the new school albums that you like. Oh man, y'all been talking all this and that, but y'all done slept on such and such, or y'all hear this one or that one, because it's a lot of new school casters, you know, really doing their thing. But sometimes
it's funny you say that. I know I ain't mean to cut you off, but I just thought about this. What did y'all think about this? We got about less than a minute, but 21 Savage saying that Nas wasn't relevant these days. You know what I mean? And I don't know if y'all. I mean,
I get what he's saying, but I get why people don't want to hear from him. You know, because Nas will always be relevant in his contribution to hip hop, but 21 Savage got a point. Like, man, that's not what's. This is not what is the current. Now, like if y'all saying that, y'all tripping. Now, y'all may not want to hear me. I'm not disrespecting Nas. Yeah, Nas gonna always matter in the conversation. He's Nas, but like right now, arguably, you got folks that's already phased out that people would have said was more relevant than Nas in just the immediate relevancy to young people. The young folks that wasn't around during his time, he not that relevant to them. And this
he may not be relevant to them, but even if you think about it like this, like. Didn't he just win a Grammy or something like last year?
I mean, I respect the guy now.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, from a standpoint like that.
What they playing at the pep rallies, that's relevancy in hip hop now. What's the play?
For sure.
They're not playing King's Disease 3 at the pep rally. I mean, they might be in some spots, but for the most part, they're be playing 21. They finna be playing, you know, Drake. They finna be playing Duke Deucey, something just Ride Wave, just something that's of their era. So I see if you ask one of them folks that's, you know, they're like, nah, Lil Durk is relevant. Nas may not be relevant to them, but Nas is great. And I think he has lifetime relevancy in hip hop. But I see how man would say that, but I see how people would go crazy and want to be like off with his head because he said that about the guy.
You know, it's a different generation. Like we were taught to honor our predecessors, like, you know, put a lot more emphasis on the predecessors, you know what I'm saying? And knowledge of your forefathers or who, you know, that's what we grew up on, man. But you know, the younger generation today, they not really on that, you know. Even if you get in the street life, they really just it's immediately who is right now. That's all that matters. Right. You know, that's just how they are, you know.
Right.
It's just their way of thinking right now.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, I'd be lying too if I that.
I just want one closing thought. Now, what were you saying? I'm sorry, man.
No, I'm just gonna be real quick and just say no. I'll be lying if I say I grew up trying to really paying homage to Motown and all the greats in the Marvin Gaye, but it took a while, like I said, to learn to appreciate what they brought to the game. To you all's point.
Right.
Yeah, and I would just say that's the beauty of hip hop and rap, man. It's grown into such a vast genre that you can have, you know, certain areas that like this area is still hip hop. It don't even really associate with this area over here. It's still hip hop, and both are still globally relevant, you know.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
And that's awesome. And it's cool to see stuff go from like how you were saying, Thomas, of being the shorty and songs that I used to hear, but I didn't appreciate. Yeah. Now I'm like, oh, that's the funk. And there's some songs that were new tunes for us that now the kids are remixing. And we remember when this was a brand new song, and now they're like, bro, this is an oldie. We about to flip this over again. Like, oh, that's an oldie, you know.
Yeah. Like, if you think about it, when you was talking about Dre and the Chronic, it's stuff he using in the Chronic from Motown.
He fought with that Parliament, man.
Parliament, all that stuff.
Shouts out BRJ, man. The first P-Funk fan I knew, man. Rashad Jones, man.
Right.
General.
The general, right.
The generals, baby.
Yeah, you know, and so it was amazing because that's why I say, like, I didn't really know it at the time until, like you say, you got a little older and started appreciating the music. I didn't know Dre was using all this stuff back then. You know,
funk is that DNA, man.
DNA.
You know, the DNA to hip hop.
Hey, I never got to go, but I stayed too long in that hip hop and forgot to say my Sade love the Lutz, bro. Sade.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm just talking about. Oh no, that was awesome for me for my lifetime.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I know we got to run, man. But,
hey, that's another good one. Yes, sir.
Hey, man, y'all stay tuned, man. 3R Play Podcast. Weigh in. Let us know what you think, man. Like, comment, subscribe, share. We'll be back.
Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.
threes.
You see, the thing that separates us from every other group of slaves is the fact that
thank y'all for tuning in today and every day. And remember to keep running your 3-yard play.
Look at them mouths, we feel like flowers, they gon' grow. Oh, we gon' water season, watch that harvest flow. Whoa. I've been crunching
cause we know heroes are made in the off season.
There should be no reason
and grind the slow is better than crashing out
we
for
get
dough.
that money bound for we don't want it.
Let's say, young brothers, remember,
fulfill the promise.
I ain't never 3 yards every day. They can never
I can't
stop.
read that narrative, so ain't no need of calling us. You ain't never had to tell your kid being black was a sin, cause his skin was reflected through America. Taking care of us was just a handout, right? But it was fair when free labor was just as nice. I can bet you your life, your kids living alright. Cause me and mine had to do
rocking with the
die
3-yard play podcast.
I get mine, yeah. You get yours, yeah. But together, nigga, we gon' get some more, yeah. Look at them mouths, we feel like flowers,
So
they
like,
gon' grow.
subscribe, share,
we gon' water season,
let's
watch that
discuss.
harvest flow. Whoa. I've been
What's up with
crunching
us?
numbers, winter, fall, spring, and summer. There should be no
Thank
reason
you.
that the baby
Tuning in
never hunger.
to the 3
When
Yard
we
Play
get that money
podcast.
bound for, we don't run it. I only
Folks
pledge
on to
allegiance
it.
to go fulfill the promise. Time and time again.